Alright, so a couple weeks ago, we did our first trailer reaction video. I had some time to put on a movie, and I thought maybe I'll put on Hellhole, since that's the one that I recommended of the trailers that we watched. Here's a review that I would consider pretty in line with what I'm about to say. Matthew S. says, 1 star. Poor direction, bad writing, terrible VFX, weak acting. I almost expected the Asylum banner to pop up. The filmmakers try way too hard to make the film hip and edgy, but it just comes across as flat, cheap, and kind of cringe. Like a bad sci-fi channel movie. So the movie starts in 1814 with a bunch of Napoleon's French soldiers. One of them is like 60 years old for some reason. They're walking around the woods and they see someone with a black horse. She gives them the horse and then smirks like she knows something. And now her part in the story is over. We never find out who she was or what the fuck any of this means. They bring it back to their troop. So one of the soldiers hands the younger guy a knife, and he's about to stab the horse, which might be one of the harder ways to kill a horse. That's just standing there, not tied to anything. I know they're pretty famous for running. As he is about to stab the horse explodes. There's a little one-eyed monster in the entrails of the horse, and it begins to chase the soldiers around the woods. As it's chasing them, rock music plays. Doesn't take you out of the scene at all. This fits really naturally. And the scene ends with the monster jumping into the old 60-year-old soldier's asshole. So cut to some work office trailer, and there's the boss lady and then like the second in command boss guy. And they're talking to two Serbian conservationists. They talk about how the road is flooded and they're trapped there for who knows how long. And they don't have internet anymore either. They play another lame rock riff while they're drilling. They're saying there's some gas coming out of the hole. Someone suggests that's methane, and she says no, it smells organic.
Methane? No, it just smells organic.
But methane is organic. The boss lady tells the cook to go dig a hole for garbage.
You'll go dig a garbage pit and bury the fucking trash.
The science girl is going to go with him because she likes him. The cook explains to the science girl that back home, the boss lady was a big pot-smoking hippie. He says it sucked.
Oh my god, she used to make me pick potatoes and lug water from the spring. It sucked.
As if that's worse than being told to dig a garbage hole in Serbia. She asks him if he's a full-time chef at home, and he says,
No, I'm more of like a full-time fuck-off.
She is charmed. They find something while digging in the garbage pit, and a human being starts to tear out of it. The boss lady asks the cook what the French guy is saying, because I guess he speaks some French.
I think he's saying, help me.
No shit. You're all just standing there doing nothing. What are you doing? The guy that they find has the same organic smell.
Stinks like the drill stinks.
Yeah, it does.
End scene. So cut to the chef guy and the science people, and they're with the French dude. They can't really understand what he's saying.
What'd he say? Inside of him? What?
A tentacle comes out of his ear, and a bunch of them see it, including the boss lady. But she tells them all to go get something to eat, and that she'll keep an eye on the French guy alone after seeing a tentacle come out of his ear. So the chef guy's making a grilled cheese for the French guy. He tells the boss dude that what he thinks the French guy was saying is that he wanted them to kill him.
I think he was asking us to kill him.
The boss guy says, I'll bring him the food and try to get through to him.
And why don't you take 5 and I'll feed the guy?
The boss guy takes a knife out. French guy grabs the knife, and he's going to slit his own throat, but his left hand stops his right hand from doing it. Suddenly, tentacles come out of his eyes and mouth, So rock music is playing, and there's a tentacle coming out of the French guy's asshole. The tentacle goes into the boss man's mouth. Here we go. Now the movie's getting good. We see the boss guy stand up, and the last bit of tentacle is sliding down his throat, and then the French guy's on the ground and he just decays. He brings her and the chef back to the French guy, who's all decayed on the ground, and she says, "You found him like this?" He says, "Yeah, I gave him the food. I went out to take a piss, and when I came back, he was bones on the ground." And then she says,
Here's the question. Do we put it back where we found it?
and that is so far down the list of questions that she should have. Another music segue. So cut to Boss Lady, the chef, and the scientist, trying to explain the science of the creature.
We identified it as a kind of algae from a group of dinoflagellates called zooxanthellae.
And how it's probable that this story could even be happening.
But this isn't exactly the ocean. Like,
Oh, but it once was.
Not only is it not very convincing, but also I'm a person that's watching a movie called Hellhole. So I'm not going to give you a hard time about the science. Boss guy's with a worker, we're just going to call him Tank Top. Boss man explains that while he was strangling the French dude, the thing inside of the French dude knew that Boss man was going to win.
Whatever was inside of him knew I was gonna win. And it jumped teams.
Tank Top says, okay, let's test that theory by arm wrestling. So they arm wrestle, and Tank Top wins easily. So then the boss guy decides to fight him for real. And the boss guy is losing. But it works because then the tentacle comes out of his asshole and trips Tank Top. Tank Top hits his head and dies. Cuts to two worker dudes in a truck smoking weed. One of them says his grandma used to come up here and pick herbs and that there's a bunch of magnetic energy in the ground. The other guy says, didn't she die of cancer?
Oh, dobre.
And none of that stuff ever comes up again. The herbs, the magnetic energy, his grandma, none of it. Rock music starts playing again. We see Boss Man is dragging Tank Top out, all rolled up in a rug. Why? The guy fell and hit his head. There's no evidence at all that a fight took place or that you murdered him, but he's gonna bury him and try to get away with murder. The weed smoking worker guys are about to drive by. Worker guys stop and they're like, what are you doing out here? Then they say, hey, is that Tank Top guy? And there's a shot of a dude. It's like his fucking brains pouring out of his skull. Grandma's boy pulls out his gun. The driver tries to stop him. He shoots the boss. Tentacles come flaring up out of the boss's mouth. Grandma's boy shoots himself for some reason. I don't know what the fuck is going on. The driver guy takes the gun, shoots the boss. The boss guy explodes, and we see a bunch of tentacles disappear into the truck. Instead of driving away, he decides to look under the truck, and he sees a curled up little tentacle monster that then cartoonishly runs at his face. So now we see the worker guy from the truck walking back to camp instead of taking the truck, and he's trying to shoot himself in the head, but he can't. So the parasite is stopping him from shooting himself because it understands the concept of guns and suicide. I don't know, it can read the guy's thoughts. As he's doing this, the rest of the cast is walking up towards him. None of them are scared of the guy shooting the gun next to his face, and she just says,
Danko, you got blood on your feet?
Oh, yeah.
he tells them that a monster started to come out of the boss guy.
A monster shit started coming out of John's face.
So they shot him, and he exploded. Next scene is the science girl picking up a piece of the boss man's head without gloves or anything, and just sloppily putting it into a bag, getting blood everywhere. So the boss lady and the chef are interviewing the infected worker guy.
How big is it?
It's small.
And she asks, do you think it can hear us? Do you think it understands English? It was in a French dude. If anything, it would know French. He says, I think it can feel you. So I guess by feel, he means it can sense your murderous intent. Scientists come in and they say, hey, infected guy, you're so lucky. Whatever this thing is, it made a baby with the French guy. Now the baby is being incubated inside of you. So music plays over B-roll to kill time. We see the boss lady, the chef, and the science girl standing outside as the worker crew approaches. The leader of the crew says, here's the deal. We leave, we go into the woods, there's a village like 30 kilometers away. We take the infected guy with us. When we get to the village, we'll contact the authorities. He says it in a way that's implying that they're going to kill the infected guy and leave him in the woods. She picks up on this, but she's just like, oh, sure. The only thing is, the science guy has him, so you'll have to get through him. The leader of the worker gang says, no big deal. We'll take care of him. So after the crew walks away, the chef guy looks at the boss and he's like, what? She says, do you have a gun? He says, no. She says to the science girl, do you have a gun? And she pulls out a knife and says, I like my violence close.
I like my violence up close.
Well, I don't know where the fuck that came from. They never explained that. So now her plan is we're going to let the worker crew take the infected guy into the woods, kill him, the parasite inside of him will kill all of them, and then not be able to survive on its own. And that'll be the end of it. So now Chef and Science Girl are sitting in a room together. He says, do you think Science Guy is right? Are we killing an innocent creature? He's suddenly feeling guilt about possibly killing a creature that is murdering everyone. And then she says, I think it's more important that we protect you from it. And then he says,
Even if it one day grew to look like me.
which is the weirdest fucking thought I've ever seen any character have in any movie. I've seen some fucking movies. The crew is walking into the woods. The editing is dog shit. And clearly, just to space out the movie and make it longer, because there's not a lot of story left to tell. So the infected guy tells them, look, it's cool if you want to kill me. I want to die, but give me some space. He says if they back up a little bit, maybe the thing inside of him won't see it coming and won't be able to escape in time. They say it can't see us, it's a virus. So they think it's a virus, and they're not taking any of the precautions that you would take if it was a virus. So now there's like 5 of these worker guys, and they've all got guns drawn on the infected guy. We hear one of them shoot, but it cuts back to the science guy who's in like a little impromptu jail cell. The boss lady is standing guard for some reason. Like, you could just let him out now. It cuts back to the infected guy, and he's still alive. And he goes, oh, you missed. Did the thing inside of him know that it was going to miss? Like, I thought it was going to explode because it knew their intention was to kill him. But no, it didn't do anything. So then the guys shoot again, and this time he explodes. We don't see any of the CGI tentacles this time, and the workers don't say anything about it. But for some reason, they all go looking for the monster in the woods, as if they did see it. And then in, like, the next scene, they confirm to us that they didn't. So what the fuck are they looking for right now? We see one of the worker guys laying on the ground screaming. Then he starts laughing. The guy on the ground says, I don't even know what the hell we're looking for. Exactly. They think the guy had a virus. What the fuck are they hunting for? And why the fuck did they split up? They hear some chirping, and then the monster attacks the guy on the ground. The other guy tries to shoot the monster that's on his friend's face, and he shoots his friend in the head and kills him. Cuts to Boss Lady. She says, how many eggs does Mother Octopus lay?
How many eggs does the octopus lay?
Thousands.
So one, the idea of thousands of eggs being out there doesn't come up again. Two, if there are thousands of eggs, what the fuck is he worried about with this one dying? Shouldn't he be hunting for the other eggs? Like, there's thousands. Back to rock music. The crew finds the guy that shot his friend. He shoots himself in the head, and the monster comes out of his blown off head. Which is like, I thought they really established that you can't just shoot yourself in the head. But he does it, and the thing just gets away, so it doesn't even do anything if you shoot yourself in the head. The three remaining workers say, what was that? That's a big fucking virus. Then they run after it, instead of running for their lives. Back to the work camp.
Honestly, I'm sure we'll get there tonight, but yeah, I'm ready for a fuck fest, don't worry.
The leader worker guy comes walking up to the rest of the camp and says the infected guy's dead. The boss lady just says,
Guys, time to get rolling.
no one asks where the other workers are or if they're dead. The science guy's out of his jail cell, and he's all giddy for some reason. Like he knows the thing is still alive, and he knows it's in this leader worker guy. So then the worker guy goes up to boss lady and he tells her, look, I'm infected, and I can't go back like this. I've got a wife and kids, and I'm basically a ticking time bomb. So I need you to give me some space and let me take care of this thing myself. The science guy says, wait, I can help you.
When it's ready, it will surely leave the womb. All babies do.
I'm starting to think he has a point. Like he's basically saying, hey, we can get you to a facility and maybe try to figure out a way to extract this thing at some point where you don't die. And he is the scientist. But they're just like, no.
Are you stupid now? Huh? Gloop. Again, gloop.
We're going to take our chances with this thing dying in the woods. The guy starts walking to the pond. He takes his gun with him for some reason, instead of leaving it with them. They watch him walk into the pond, and it just keeps showing us, like, the pond for some reason. The science guy walks up next to the lake and cries. Suddenly, the thing is wrapped around his waist. She takes out her knife. She goes to cut it, but suddenly it's like not the thing that she's cutting anymore. It's like his intestines or something, because they all fall out. I don't know. All I know is the next shot is he's laying on the ground with his stomach like open. The boss lady tells Science Girl and Chef Boy to run.
Fucking run!
So it runs after Science Girl and Chef Guy, and the last thing we see is it's gaining on them pretty quick. Then it cuts to those two in a bathroom, and the guy's sitting in a tub. I think maybe to imply that he's going to give birth to this thing. I don't know. It shows us a newspaper on the floor that says 10 die in mysterious oil rig accident. And that's the end of the movie. They never explain the organic smell, the thousands of eggs, and they don't really explain what their plan is or what's going to happen next. The movie just ends. Final conclusion. The critics' reviews of Hellhole on Rotten Tomatoes are fucking bullshit. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I am going to be putting out a lot of content in October. The plan right now is every Friday I'm going to be doing a sort of anthology, variety show type thing with a whole bunch of other creators that I've reached out to. We'll see how many of them come through with finished projects in time, because it's sort of a last minute idea. But it's a lot of work, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the first time I'm going to try it, and I want to do it every October. So look forward to that. I don't like doing the whole like, subscribe, comment thing. I don't like saying it. But maybe you would like to. And if you would, go ahead and film it for me and email it to me at happytheknife@gmail.com. And I'll put it at the end of my video, and however many I get, I'll just keep using those instead of having to say it like I am now, which isn't very good. Yeah. Bye.
If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. This is Fitzy_2K on X. Message me for any voice work details. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.